Menderes spared his life, but a loot there would be no... Oops.
Good job. We're gonna hit 100 episodes. At least this is the bonus section, so it don't
Are we gonna hit
matter.
100 episodes? Because, I mean, we're an hour in now.
I don't know.
No, it was Menderes himself.
Menderes. Or the wiretap.
Yeah. The defendant's phone was being tapped, but we don't know who was listening. Agent Webb put up the wire, but his supplies were stolen after his death. Somebody's still been monitoring Mr. Menderes, and it hasn't been Interpol.
That's right. We haven't located web surveillance tools. I would suspect Agent Togamera had a hand in their disappearance.
Me too, but we know he's not the one who kept them in the end.
We too?
The wiretap was used within the last few days. Take a look at the letter we have again. The one from It mentions his meeting with Mr. Jameson. The sender wanted to keep my client from speaking to him.
Then that person must be Carlo Luciano.
It was somebody Togamera worked for and trusted. They were partners in MN6. I'd say Luciano fits the bill. It does seem to be a point in the defense's favor. I almost read that as flavor.
Again?
Or it would be, if this were not merely conjecture. Did I say that last time too?
Yeah.
Perhaps you'd try linking that letter directly to Luciano or myself, will you? Maybe you can get a confession out of Mr. Togamera. But on second thought, perhaps that might not work, because... Togamera thinks Menderes set him up. Yes, that would be a problem for you, wouldn't it?
Isn't that still a bit funny? What is? Both Togamera and Meredith claim they were betrayed by Mr. Menderes and didn't fuck up this time. But if we assume that's true, then what then?
You still hesitated, so don't even
Yes, I stopped messing up. Might have hesitated. The more I think about it, the more it can't be right. Huh? Why not?
Can the peanut gallery go away, please?
Oh.
You think Meredith and Togamera were made to think that?
Uh-huh. Don't you think so?
I think I do. Your Honor, we may have another reason to believe Menderes was set up. We know some of his allies named him as giving them orders. They claimed he backstabbed them, leading to their arrests, but that's not the case.
Yes? What leads you to believe that? No motive.
Yeah. Just like with Luciano to Menderes, Menderes himself wouldn't bear any ill will toward these two. They aided him before, and he'd gotten away with everything. Why turn on them now, after it was all done?
They helped him? How?
Both Togamera and Meredith were connected in their own way to MN6. You see, Your Honor, it's all coming back to Luciano. What an extraordinary hypothesis. You've truly thought this through. What was the point of it all, then? It would be an awful lot of time and effort. The plan was to turn Menderes' allies against him, to hurt his base of support. You didn't just want to discredit him, you wanted to ruin him. And you succeeded in doing just that. Menderes' usual lawyers all refused to take his case. He had to turn to me, a stranger, for help. The family no longer trusts him. That was the goal all along. Bravo, my man, bravo! I always enjoy a good battle of wits. So you claim I've woven some incredible web to snare my purported prey. A predator toying with his food. I'm honored. Well, I'm hungry for more. If it's as you say, I've won already. Come now, don't stop there. Tell us everything.
You aren't even nervous?
A negative to that, ma'am. Why should I be? If I'm not Luciano, this is all mere badgering. If I am, there's still no way Mr. Wright can prove it. All the evidence and accusations still point directly to Menderes. Not everything. Most of the events we've seen, somebody claimed to be Menderes and took credit for it. But there was one time we have no idea who was responsible.
Okay.
Was that Cody? Or no, Porter, right?
This one, I'm looking for it now. This was the weird one that was like, I didn't know what I hit. I'm looking over the footage again, and I was in the evidence, and I hit back, and it somehow must have glitched out or something, and made me hit the right.
What did you have highlighted?
I was highlighted on Dryson, but I hit back. I don't know like what exactly happened, but he then launched into Maya received a bunch of notes.
Well, then would it be Maya? No.
Like I said, this was the very strange one. I don't know. We have...
I have no clue.
Letter 2, Maya? Was that somehow got... I don't know what happened.
Maya received a few notes recently. They're anonymous, but I don't believe that was a mistake. It wasn't Menderes who sent them, nor were we supposed to assume that it was.
Why is that?
The notes that threaten Maya to keep Pearl hidden. Menderes would have no reason to need that, and the author knew it.
You mean Miss Faye's faked kidnapping? It was tied to MN6?
Intimately. Pearl returning could open up new testimony that could turn the case on its head. She was there and knew things nobody else wanted to say. Even though it had been solved, her words would discredit everything the defense had said. That being Luciano never died in that diner. How? Pearl left before Luciano supposedly died.
Order! It's another point in favor of a motive for Carlo Luciano. And another against one for the defendant. Were these letters why Miss Faye nearly died?
Maya planned to release the letters to the public through Miss Porter. However, she told her grandmother, who alerted who she thought was Menderes. The fake Menderes, Luciano, saw the threat and ordered Maya shot.
If I'd been hit with that rifle and not a pistol, I would have been a goner.
After the hit failed, Luciano ordered Donatello to turn over Meredith, but Donatello saw that beneath him and named Menderes instead, who he thought gave the order. That was exactly what Luciano wanted to happen. It was all part of a calculated plot to destroy Menderes' reputation. Luciano has a much more solid motive than Menderes ever would. Good, splendid, simply marvelous. I never would have expected you could tie so much together. It's quite the history you've woven there, sir, but it lacks a punchline. Luciano plotted against your client, and yet we still don't know why. No way! I was hoping they'd forget I skipped that. My dear friend, you mustn't ignore the most crucial element. We've heard how Menderes was set up, but you still must provide more. Why would Luciano go to such lengths? It seems like quite the task. But if you planned this far, surely you must have the answer.
Indeed, we have the answer.
No, we don't. The dude hasn't told us that he worked with Galante yet. And setting up Togamera and Faye seemed more effort than it was worth. After all, if he was angry, why not just kill Menderes and be done with it? This whole revenge scheme would be utterly pointless and petty.
Would it be pointless and petty? Would it, sir? I don't
Pointless and petty.
You're pointless and petty. A motive cannot work without an actual reason.
Pointless and pate.
No, doesn't sound right.
I'm hungry.
We have reason to suspect Luciano operated based on a grudge, yes, but why?
Also, pate is fucking gross. This is assuming, of course, Luciano still exists among the living. A silly notion, to be sure, but perhaps the defense can make something out of it.
Oh,
Luciano is still alive, and he's you. An even sillier thought, but I have nothing to fear from it. But I feel we've already been through this. Why don't we move along? Fucking
Why?
bug! I will end you and your family! Fuck!
So now you're being attacked by a bug? Is Lozu going to have to make another one? Jesus. Just have a compilation of every time Garcon gets attacked.
I'm attacked, or I'm choking, or I'm dying. This series hasn't been kind to me.
No, it's not, weirdly.
I dropped my M&Ms.
Oh no.
That broke me. I was drinking when you said it, too, and it came up out of my nose.
Oh, it was beautiful. Why do you do this? Encourage us to continue.
My dear lady, there isn't anywhere else I'd love to be than this courthouse right now. You see, no matter how hard you and the defense press, you will ultimately flounder. It is survival of the best in this world, and I intend to prove my point.
It's fittest. Again,
Best.
it's fittest.
Bestest.
Bestest.
What
You've
am I
yet
doing
to
here?
tell me why Luciano would turn on Menderes.
Presented or
Present
press it?
Trucy's notes.
Nope.
Oh, apparently we have to go through these.
Yeah, we had to press stuff first.
Oh, God.
That's not good. Gonna save now.
Hooray!
Luciano, you wanted to destroy Menderes' control over the Hey, you wanted to hit 100 episodes.
I don't want to hit ahead on 100 episodes.
Are you okay? I had a
Channel
You did it.
Boomhauer.
Almost sound down some bangle. You did it to make him fall from power. Ah, yes, but why? Such an odd goal, when they would otherwise appear as friends. If I were Luciano, I would be in Menderes' debt, no? Perhaps we can ask Menderes himself. Perhaps you can, yes. Do not let me stop you. He's not afraid at all of what Menderes might say. He wants it to come out. I'm afraid to find out what he's expecting, but I need to know. It's important to proving Menderes isn't guilty. You wanted to hurt him. You needed to ruin his reputation. Really? Once again, why? All this plotting would get him nowhere. Much easier to take a direct course of action.
What do you mean?
Why, it was so much planning that could easily have been circumvented. What did Togomera and Faye have to do with this alleged grudge?
Well, I can't personally see anything.
It was their relation to Menderes himself. This was never about the other two. It was all to destroy Menderes' own standing. A bit simplistic, I'd say. But as you say, if this was all about Menderes... Perhaps more was called for. I don't see you naming anything. It must truly have been big to turn this man against the one who saved him from rivales. Does it not seem odd to you at all that after Menderes risking his neck to keep Luciano alive, Luciano would then backstab him in such a way? It does seem off, but I haven't quite figured out why. Well, do not let me stop you at that. If you wish to indict me as a suspect, you'd need that reasoning, wouldn't you? Why would Luciano put so much effort into bringing down Menderes? And why turn on him at all? Luciano seems intent on letting me figure it out. I hope I'm not gonna regret this. Are we gonna put Petty above a guy like Carlo Luciano? Well, he still needs that motive you're calling at. Your Honor, if you were revenging yourself upon a man, why'd you draw it out so much?
Well, I don't consider myself to be that kind of person. But no, I don't think I would involve people who weren't responsible.
This is the Mafia, Your Honor. They're not known for playing fair.
No, they aren't. But still, the defense brought in the witness, so they should answer his question.
A fair point, sir. I wouldn't believe the story otherwise.
Do we know his two allies weren't involved with the betrayal?
No, but then why would he put so much effort into it?
A good question. I haven't an answer, so I hope you do. How do we respond to that?
Luciano seems to be leading us in this direction. Either he knows we can't prove anything, or he wants us to.
Does it have something to do with MN6? Maybe Luciano needed to keep him quiet about something.
Menderes already knows all there is to know about MN6. If there was a betrayal, it must be over something else. Why would Luciano plot against somebody who'd helped him fake death? It must be huge.
Alright, now do the notes.
I'm gonna save first. Nope.
What the fuck? I'm right on here. Give me a sec, apparently.
Maybe it's one where I have to press stuff again. What?
That happened before. Oh, it was one of those, like, just mash through again. And then, hold on, and...
Which one do I have to press again?
All of them. That's what we did. You were like, maybe we gotta press them all again. I was like, I don't want to. Now you don't want to.
Nope.
Turn on Menderes.
Yeah. Because he was vicious, remember?
Yeah, he was viscous.
You should know as well as anybody, Luciano's not good with grudges. Miss Von
Viscous
Karma, could you please relate to me a brief summary of Luciano's reputation?
Carlo Luciano was feared among the criminal element not only for his role as an assassin, but also because his was vengeful to the point of it becoming an obsession.
But also because was vengeful.
Yes. No. That's why it fucked me up. Should he sense he had been betrayed, he would seek to destroy everything about his victim. Only after they'd lost everything would he finally kill them. Well, that sounds like our current situation, and a bit over the top.
Ah, does it, Your Honor? But recall, we still don't know what the betrayal was.
No, that's also true.
Menderes has had to watch his whole empire crumble from within. All his yeah, that was almost a word. All his cleverly won allies turning on him and naming him their enemy. And that leadership which he worked so hard to get.
Are you okay?
He did?
Are you okay?
Why, of course. Well, you sounded like Surfer Waters.
It's true.
A disgraced former capo coming out of retirement to become the Don? Don't tell me you believe it. Our boy has been very, very naughty.
Just so many lines in this that can just be taken so out of context. Stop, no more. See, right there?
What? What is it?
Look, just forget the motive already, will you? It doesn't matter. We don't need to hear any more of this. We must hear the story, or we have nothing else to go on. It is imperative for your case that we continue.
Francisca?
It is imperative for your case that we continue.
For my case?
For your case.
Why do you care about my case? Don't you just want a guilty verdict?
No, she wants the truth. Shut up. Nobody asked you. With your weird bun. You're my lawyer. I'm paying you, not her, you hear? If the defense really seeks the truth, they have no choice. We must find out what the suspect's apparent secret was. You do want to solve the case, don't you? No, you're gonna get me hanged.
Do I even want to know what the matter is? My case is hanging on this single hope. I can't let go of it. But what if I just make everything worse? What should I do?
Keep pressing, baby.
Frankly, Mr. Menderes, I don't think you realize the position we're in.
Frankly, Mr. Menderes, I don't give a damn.
I'm already reaching here because you wouldn't cooperate with me. So truly, I will do what I have to in order to reach the proper end. You are my client, and I hope that I'm defending the right man. But if anything comes out that hurts you, it's your own fault for not leaving me any other options.
You darn backstabbing. Fine. I killed Jameson. That settle it.
What are you doing?
Oh. Better than the way you were going. I've got to cover my own rear since you're marching me off to the grave. You say you killed Stephen Jameson? Yeah. And Black, too. There's no great big motive for Luciano to betray me. I killed him, too. He was dead all along.
Mayday! Mayday! This is the end.
Ship's falling. Titanic.
Really, dude?
Well, I believe that clears matters up very conclusively. That was a thorough confession. Not really thorough, it was succinct. And there is no doubt in the defendant's words. There's a lot of doubt.
I knew that was gonna happen.
Let's back up a bit, shall we? The suspect just interrupted us out of turn. His statements were not asked for. Everything he just said must be stricken from the record.
Sometimes you're alright, Francisca.
What?
Francisca.
Learn how courts work. It was an emotional outburst, nothing more, not a true confession in the slightest. Any fool could have seen it, didn't you? Well, it did come out of nowhere. Do you see my point? The court scribe must remove any mention of what he just said. As you wish. Please see to it.
I'm saved, but just barely. Your Honor, the defense will continue the cross-examination. This last conversation with the witness and the defendant gave me some more pieces to the puzzle.
It did now.
Just enough for me to guess what motivated Luciano's actions. Menderes protested me continuing vehemently. He did that after Luciano said he'd schemed to get where he is. So what's the truth behind it all? You literally could not know what's going on without playing through the first side!
Yeah, then we do this. Oh god, I don't remember. Wait, okay. Oh, right, yeah.
Now we present Trucy's notes. I believe that our motive for revenge lies with another string of murders. That's Sir Galante I'm talking about.
Sir Galante, why would you need to bring him up right now?
It's necessary for us to mention Mr. Black because the mastermind behind him was...
Menderes.
The defendant, Mr. Menderes.
Hold on a minute, do you mean to say that it was all a plot to seize control of the family? Lies. Damn lies from this slimeball of an attorney. Saying he's on my side and then trying to drag me down like this. Can you believe I might have bought it at one point?
I never said I was on your side. I said I was looking for the truth. It was your odd reaction that tipped me off that something was wrong. But I'm not the only person who's had their doubts. Mr. Parker was closer to Virgil Black than anyone, and he said he was an idiot. And yet he thought it was odd he'd planned it alone. Prosecutor Williamson worked on the case for years, and through most of that time, he had at least some reason to think you were behind it. And even you made some odd comments.
He didn't kill everyone.
You were allegedly retired during that time. Retired and on bad terms with your uncle. How would you know who was or wasn't killed? You've been scared from the beginning what this case might bring up, and I think this is it. There's a lot for you to be ashamed of, but this is the number one thing. You were plotting Galante's murders, funding him and giving him information on the family. That was how he knew where and when to strike. He couldn't have done it alone.
The argument would never hold up in court, but it may work for the time being.
You know, in court.
Mm-hmm. After all, it would be in the suspect's better interests to work with us.
It's funny that Francisca ends up at the end of for the other side too.
Trading in one death sentence for another. Do you think I'm crazy? I'm not admitting to anything. Besides, this is no motive. Not for Luciano, it isn't. Uncle Mike wanted to assassinate him, remember? He knew who the order came from. That's another good point. Wouldn't Luciano have just as much reason to sabotage Michael Rivales?
That's where our story gets really interesting. Menderes wasn't just having people killed for power, he was doing it because he was paranoid, worried about his uncle's wrath. The man doesn't trust anybody. I've learned that much in just 3 days. If Rivales ever found out he let Luciano live, he'd be done for. That's where the betrayal comes in.
Wait! Are you saying that...
In regards to Sir Galante, Carlo Luciano was...
Galante's accomplice.
Luciano was one of the victims of... Were you serious?
No.
It sounded like you were laughing. Luciano was one of the victims of Sir Galante, or should I say, an intended victim.
Yeah. Those eyeballs, though.
Bug-eyed, lizard-looking motherfucker.
Wait just a minute again. Intended victim, so we got away.
Okay, Judge. Sir Galante didn't kill everybody. Mr. Menderes told me that much, but his words seem to have a whole new meaning. He's scared about the people in his own organization, but why? What could he have to hide from them that was so huge? And if it was Galante, who would have known other than Galante? That sentence. Or one of Galante's failed targets.
Lies, lies, lies! You're making this up to feed your own flimsy story. There's nothing to it.
This was Luciano's motive to turn on you. Luciano had to feel betrayed by you somehow, and what better way than a botched assassination? You wanted to make sure nobody ever found out you disobeyed Rivales.
But you don't know I ordered it, and you can't because Virgil Black is... This is all just a lot of fancy guesswork.
I'm not the one you need to be scared of, but you knew that, didn't you? You know Luciano's after you. That's why you've been paranoid and uncooperative this whole while. You're here because you did something to make him angry. It's either that or you murdered Mr. Black and Mr. Jameson. So help me here. I'm trying to save your paranoid hide, crazy as it seems.
I'm not going in for Galante. I won't admit a thing. If you think I'm making this easier for you or Luciano or anyone, you're sorely...
You're a dipshit. Just the biggest dipshit I've ever seen.
The biggest paranoid dipshit I've ever seen.
Dipshit. That should just be tattooed on your forehead.
It's wide enough.
Mr. Menderes, do you realize how much you keep admitting he's alive? And how obvious it is that you're afraid of him?
No.
You've been hiding so much from us. But if you don't want to work with me, that's not gonna stop me. You didn't kill Luciano, and now you're scared of him.
I didn't have any other choice. Michael would have killed me, served me. Look, I was just trying to keep myself alive.
Rivales found out his nephew hadn't killed Luciano. That was why. Menderes, being the coward he is, panicked and sicked his dog Galante on them both. But the dog only succeeded in killing one. The breadcrumbs would be too easy to follow if you knew Menderes' handiwork. Years of plotting alongside him would show you it pointed right to the man. Luciano's only mistake was to not see it coming. Regrettable that he'd come to trust Menderes. He should have known from the start. He who would betray his own blood out of fear. He who'd disobey a direct order. At least Rivales only ever turned on those who had already undermined him. Menderes saved his life, yes, but then he made the choice to try and take it back. A man without honor. He deserves everything he has and will come to him. Do you admit that you're Carlo Luciano? Must I? No, I do not. I fail to see how that would help my position. I think you'll find myself even less cooperative than our friend here. This pursuit was amusing at first, but I do have my limits. I was in on the plot to fake his death, but to be Luciano myself? Inconceivable.
You've directly admitted yourself as an accomplice in MN6. That alone places suspicion on you for the 3 murders. We have no alibi on you for any of them, and now we have a strong motive.
Ah, my dear prosecutor, how mistaken you are. I'm not sure if you realize it quite yet, but I'm still far from appearing the guilty party. Please step back and take a moment to reanalyze your situation. Face it, sir, if you had even a single iota of proof, you would have shown it long ago. And if you had hoped to catch me in some unfortunate slip-up, you would be sorely disappointed. Do we have anything?
I don't know. Think of something.
I would think not. Though to be quite fair, if we are to assume I were Luciano, I would have to thank you all for doing me a great favor. Huh?
What do you mean?
Please, sir, do not make me spell it out for you. If my big, overarching plan was to bring down Menderes, you've done that for me by associating him with Sir Galante. It was a trap, and I walked right into it. So you see, sir, no matter what else, Menderes will have nowhere to go from here. On the one hand, he could be executed for triple homicide, and on the other, his cohorts will hunt him down like the fiend he is. As for me, well, you've proven a motive, I suppose. I'm sure that counts for something.
Don't give up. You know nobody saw any of the 3 murders. That means that if he can't prove an alibi, it might be him. Not good enough. There must be an implication of someone other than Menderes.
The first day during Miss Porter's testimony. She claimed she heard a strange noise. When she turned to check, she didn't see anyone, but she found Jimmy dead after returning from the chase. I presume you'd expect this noise was me? I am glad I'm not the one who needs your defending. What of the shovel, then? One with the defendant's prints on it. He was the last one to hold it, as you well know. So explain to me, please, how that implies anyone other than him.
I might not have an answer for that. Is Menderes really the only one who could have used the shovel?
It had his prints, and no one else's.
Huh. Hey, wait, doesn't that sound familiar?
Come to think of it, yeah. So that's what that evidence was about. That's why it was important. Menderes found the shovel upon returning and tried to hide it back in his home. I can't give you any more than his word on that, and I agree it's a point against me. But he's not the only one with evidence stacked against him. There's evidence pointing to Luciano as the culprit. If the shovel says Menderes, there's something else that says Luciano. Only he had a true motive and opportunity to kill all 3 victims.
We presented a bottle, I think, on this one.
The MN6 bottle?
Yeah, the MN6 bottle. I think this is the rapid fire round.
Not yet. The forged bottle that Kristoff used to win MN6 was the catalyst.